Namaste and good afternoon. I was going to speak a little bit about simplicity today, which is something that's extremely important for any sincere spiritual journey, and um, and any path or spiritual path that is undertaken needs a certain very strong foundation in place, um, which would be, first and foremost, just a really good character. And on the path created by Guruji, Guru Swami Ji, the three qualities are honesty, transparency, and integrity. And then, of course, simplicity is part of this. Because with any journey, you need a really strong, sturdy foundation in place, or whatever you build from there is going to easily crumble, and it won't be able to withstand any of the strong currents and forces or the challenges that come in and along the way if one is not, rooted or grounded to a very strong foundation. And the one that I was going to focus on most today is simplicity. Um, and with that, and with some the ceremonies that have come here, and I have spoken before about having the blessing and opportunity to go through sannyas, the ceremony here, and to have, you know, um, that simple life, at least explained with the gowns, and the orange gowns, which are symbolic more of burning off the dross, and the dandi stick, which has to do with just holding strong to the your practices and to Guru's grace. And these were all explained to me by Guruji, which I had that was very fortunate to um, get to hear of all of that, because they're so rich in meaning, and they really go harken back to that time of you wandering monks and sadhus, wandering in the forest, and stripping themselves bare of all the outer clutter of society and the norms and all of those things that people, was really where the masses dwelled, and what was attached to, and all the outer trappings of society. So these monks and these sadhus and of the past that were sincere, and stripped themselves bare of all of that. And so, with um, some of the ornaments that have come in, and some of the those traditions have been brought forward by Guruji within these ceremonies to understand what that is really about. And prior to going on this path, and I've talked about, that I did begin this journey, and Kundalini had already woke up very strongly. But with here, and I'm not going to suggest this to others, it's not like I'm telling people, but I did live without a TV for about 20 years. Um, and I just got some of the main news stuff from other sources. Just, I just really wanted to clean my life out of things that, were distractive or created a lot of spins. And again, this is something that I did prior. This has not ever been anything that has been suggested by Guruji, so I'm not putting it out there as a practice, but just in describing, as far as what my journey was before, what it entailed, because that is what has brought me here. And that, I just, there was a lot of quiet time. And even now, it's just not something that is, that I have on all the time, and that kind of thing. And again, within this path, it's really about staying in meditation within whatever activity is happening on the outside. But certainly, I'm just not one that's sitting there on the net constantly and looking up things and connecting this with that, and oh, this happened, and oh my gosh, that happened, and sending this to that person. And, this is not something that is encouraged on this path, and it's also not something that is within my character to do. It's just, really my focus has been for many years to, and before and after, to come to that peace that passes all understanding. And, we can certainly, look at that as being something that is really something that, people can kind of take a look at, that how much, many distractions and all these things that one draws to themselves. And, and maybe how much time is really spent in absorbing the moment and what is happening in this moment, and relaxing into it, and whatever wherever one is. I mean, certainly many people's lives are very much busy, very busy now, with all sorts of things happening, and it's really hard to even get a few minutes, and I can really understand that. So it's just to have that intention of being more simple. It's just, these original, these sadhus, these monks, and those that lived in secluded areas. Um, the reason for that, again, is to really let go of the world, let go of the worldly drama, to shut their ears, shut their eyes, shut all their senses away from that, um, to just keep that light that's inward, and to connect in with that continually, continually, and not allow the mind to be drawn outward into all of these attachments, because the mind, once that seed is watered, as you can see if you look at your mind at all, and a thought is followed and nourished, it blooms into a full tree and a full forest, and that's where one is lost in so easily. It just grows, and it becomes this vast thing that you forgot what the original thing was you were even thinking of. And so, what one, on any journey is asked to do is look at this, and question it, and, stay more present to what is taking place. Um, so, and again, one does, and again, the beauty of this path that I have walked has been, to bring all of this into your regular life, rather than needing to go to an ashram or things, which is much harder. It's definitely more challenging. We got all of it is not, you know, so simple as, okay, we have our prayers, we have this, we have that. There's so much more to take care of, for sure. And so if one can begin within that and keep the mind stable and quiet within regular activity, then that is going to be more of a stable quietude versus one that is, secludes themselves constantly. And again, not to judge that, because that has its own beauty, and many times people walk through that at first, where they're just really needing to tune a lot of stuff out. I know I did that. I have never, you know, lived in a convent or an ashram or anything, but I certainly, for the many, many years, like I say, almost a good 20 years, I really kept my life, without all of the things that most people were really getting caught up in and involved in. So I guess in that way I kind of created my own, keeping things out so that I didn't have this nonstop noise and things that was going on in my environment. And, I still raised a child and things. So, and again, most people aren't going to do that. It's not like I'm telling people to, but it's just something to consider about if you are sincere and really wanting to find that peace within, that simplicity is a big, big part of this. And simplicity, really all of this in the long run is meant to be have that consciousness. Not all, it's not judged always by what is happening on the outside, because many people, some that were enlightened, were really active, and whatever their world was, it didn't matter. Their mind was still. It just, you can't say, well, oh, they did this and that was wrong, or this was right, or someone else that lived very sparsely, and maybe even more in a forest, or in an ashram, very sparsely, and whatever that was, then that was there, and they were still quiet within. So at the point of where one is quiet and silent, and that moksha is there, it just matters not on what activities are taking place on the outside. So what I'm speaking to is only sharing my journey and what it was that experiences I have gone through that has brought me here to where, and everyone has their own different stepping stones that brought them more inward and more quiet and things. And here, certainly with the mind is, as I spoke about before, that episodic slowing and unwinding with those gaps between thoughts, and um, stuttering of thoughts, and silence where everything is just empty, that emptiness that is vibrating with pure life. And then the spinning, and then it doesn't matter where I am, what's happening, boom, that hits that slowing, and then it just completely dissolves in the heart into that stillness. And I have not had that to this degree for this whole course of time. And it's been 16 years I've been on this journey, and then of course prior, the work that was done, and the beginning of it, even when I was very young, and praying and things. And there is just, I don't have to tell people what all is happening in the world. It's just such an obvious thing. The division is here more than ever, and a lot of there's really a chasm. There's really so much happening out there that is heartbreaking and very hard to be with right now, and so much uncertainty and things. This is going to go on, and we can't go out and change the whole picture in this moment, but certainly we can. Speaking up when we need to is so needed right now. I mean, we're not to just sit back and let these things happen. To voice our concern, and to put out what we need to put out to, and hopefully counteract what's out there. But all we can do is wait and see, and follow that along, and continue, certainly very strongly. And it's a beautiful thing to see this potent energy that is out there, and the Women's March and things. My heart is, I think all the viewers that are with them at home, our hearts are in that too, and so it's not just what you see there, it's where your heart is, where your consciousness is, and that you are putting that energy out, that you really, we're not going to stand for this, and all we can do is hope and wait. But my point is, in speaking with this, is even through that, to get one's mind so spinning on it constantly, and worry and things, really it just is going to create more, it's just, really right now, and again, I can't, people that are involved, certainly there's so many insecurities, and we can't take those away, but all that I am saying is, even within all of this, the world is not going to change like that, and there's always going to be something, and this certainly is very heavy right now. But if one is still wanting peace within, take time to just settle into the moment, to breathe, to let go of some of these things, let them wash out, and just stay with what is here. Because the more that we can, that is done, and the more stillness that was within ourselves, and quietude, when we do speak, and when that is needed, it'll come just at the right time. When we do, it will be clearer. It will come from a space of clarity versus a lot of wanting to get whatever emotions are there churning or whatever, wanting, this, that, and the other. And just be more grounded, and in that way a very good thing for humanity. The more people that can be settled and within that quietude certainly is going to make a big change for the planet and for humanity. It's just something I'm putting out there, and everyone has their life, and everyone needs to go to their own heart and find, and look within their minds. And if they're constantly churning, is that really what they want for their life? So simplicity is extremely important, and so that's the deal there. But let's see, I did have a poem that I wrote. I'm going to have to grab my glasses. Sorry about this. Oops, they must be over there, my other ones. So glasses sometimes, people. That's just how it is with me right now. And let me get this up. Okay, I'll just read what I have here. Well, there's actually more up here. Sorry about this, but all right, so let's see. The world will carry on whether one is still or outward, with its activity always. This will not end. It is the inward that is the making of beauty, pain, or any other happening. So this is why the sannyasi, or the celibate renunciate, leaves the world, lets go of it and all the drama, keeps life simple. This simple life can be seen reflected in the more traditional path of a wandering monk. The mind is not to be always going outward and looking for entertainment and looking for something to feed it, confirm it, create out of it, spin on constantly. One is to simplify their life to the best possible in order to make the energy and time to be inward in prayer, mantra, attention to the moment. For even though many in the world desire peace, if there is no working towards it within themselves, it will be very difficult to maintain, and very difficult for these cycles of uprisings, divisions, etc., to come to a halt. So let's see, I have one more here. Let's see if we can do this one. We should take a lesson from the Earth Mother. She is always in her best form within stillness. She does not hold judgment or harboring of emotions. She does not protect herself in a shell. She does not put her reality onto anything else. She does not have any worry, hurt, or anger towards anything or anyone. She does not commit sin, hold pride, revenge, or vanity. Her plants, animals, sun, moon, rain, mountains, rivers, and oceans are the same inside. All of her life is the same inside, and what makes it otherwise are attitudes that one harbors, defends, keeps turning on. This is the making of the dissension on the outside. And yes, her energy is being drained due to the choices of humanity that are not in alignment with pure intention, love, and care. Yes, her energy is shifting in accordance with the moral or lack of moral climate that is present. Yes, her energy is being drained or helped by the actions and deeds of humanity. What can be said? We do not live in a bubble, and our actions move outward like a wave to be felt by the whole. But we have this awareness to see clearly like the sun. We have this awareness to see what is here, that is eternal, and what is not lasting and should not be attached to. We have this awareness to look, see, feel, taste, touch, hold, love with a heart of openness, joy, and love. And we have the choice to use this awareness rightly. For even with all the chaos now, we need not be so caught up in it, which does not mean we don't act and speak out when the time is right. But we can use the time to go inward, to feel deeply this moment as it is in its purity, to taste it, touch it, pray into it, love it, hold it, breathe into it, sink into it. For inside there is something other than what is seen on the surface, and it is worth all the efforts made to be within it. So that is the heart pointing, some of the writing that was done today. And so it's just something to, be aware of, and to hopefully, people can begin to really settle down a little bit through this, because really the way the mind is, no matter what is happening on the outside, the mind will find something else and something else and then something else still to turn and revolve on. There's just that's how it works. Even if in the quieter times and when things are looking better, it will attach to that. And then when things change, it starts really acting up again. So it's just something, to consider, and just wishing all well and wishing the best for the planet and humanity, and really all people be a good thing, and hoping that things, begin to really take a turn in a very positive way, that we start feeling some of that sooner than later. Okay, have a great day. Namaste. Bye.